thank you, Anne, for coming and working with me on some little tips to help with balance. So for those of you that are choosing to watch this video, thank you. Balances are tricky. They teach us resilience, patience, but hopefully somewhere along the way you can still have a little bit of fun, even if you are falling out. And that's one of the things that we're going to explore, is how we can perhaps use some basics from our foundations of yoga to improve the way we approach our balances. And one of the things that we're going to talk about is our breath. So taking a seat, finding a little bit of length through the spine, finding a neutral place for the chin, feeling the back and front of the neck being long. And we'll start just by taking a nice deep breath in and just relax out with a sigh. And let's do that twice more. So a nice deep breath in and relax out with a sigh. Last time. Good. And then settling into your seat, feel the ground underneath you. Allow yourself to rise up from that grounding by imagining the top of the head just reaching towards the ceiling. So you feel some natural lift coming into the spine and the sides of the body. Relax the shoulders and allow the collarbones to be naturally wide. And relax into the elbows. And then just allow yourself to focus on your breathing, just as it is. Steady breath in and steady breath out. Good. And for the purposes of this practice, the eyes can close if that's comfortable. And if you're happy to breathe in and out through the nose, then bringing your next inhale in, soft and gentle. And exhale when you're ready. And I want you to find a breath pattern of an inhale and exhale that works for you. So the focus here is to find steadiness and ease in our breathing. So for some of you that might be Ujjayi breathing, but for many of us it's just finding a pace of breath that we can stay with. And that's a key component in our balance practice. So we'll stay here finding steadiness with our inhale and exhale for 5 breaths. Notice if the mind begins to wander. And if it has, acknowledge that it has, but bring it back to that feeling of inhale and exhale. Return to that steady breathing pace for your practice. Take one more full round, and then slowly bring the hands to prayer. Keeping with your rhythm, let's draw the chin towards the chest. Allow the eyes to come open and stay with that rhythm as much as you can. As you transition just to standing, we're going to come into Tadasana, another key standard foundation pose that we're going to work from our balances. So come to the front of the mat or wherever you're choosing to work today, and taking a hip distance stance. Yeah, that's cool. And then what we're going to focus on here is just finding that same sense of grounding. So you might like to just make friends with the feet. So make some little movements, maybe some circles, maybe some backwards and forwards movement, to just find that sense of your feet in the space that you've placed yourself. It might help you to lift the toes, widen them, and then place them down. And then just notice once you've placed everything down where you feel more of the weight. If it feels really centered, that's superb. That's what we're looking for. But if you feel more in the toes or you feel more in the heels, then maybe use a little bit of gentle movement to find that equal stance. Good. And then keeping that, softening the knees just slightly. Yeah, nice, Anne. Good. Get a little bit of almost bounciness feeling through those knees. And then drawing yourself up to the pelvis, just notice how that feels for you. So you might get a sense of how the lower back feels here. And if it feels perfect for you, then that's exactly what we're looking for. But if it feels like you want a little bit more space, you might like to just draw the pubic bone slightly forward. Coming up to the ribs are drawing in. Back up to those shoulders. The shoulders are wide and the hands are released down towards the ground. Chin is level and you're rising up from the crown of the head, so from the center all the way up to the ceiling. So you should feel strong, comfortable, lifted from the grounding of the feet all the way through to the tops of your head. From here, we're going to focus on our breath. So come back to that steady breathing that we found at the beginning of the session. And bring the hands onto your hips. Stay with your steady breath. Find some concentrated awareness here. And then allow the gaze to find a spot ahead of you, a fair distance, but we're liking the chin to be level. So the eyes can move, but the chin doesn't need to. We want to keep that neck nice and long. We're going to be moving into tree posture, but we're going to keep the toes down and focus on staying lengthened through the spine as we steadily breathe in and out. So working with your right leg, bring your right toes in and turn your knee out to the side. So big toe stays down. Your gaze stays on that spot that you found, and the breath stays smooth and even. You might notice already that the ankle of the left leg is beginning to wobble, and I want you to embrace that. That's part of what happens when you're balancing on one leg. So stay with that steady inhale and exhale. Good. And then let's release from there and do the same on the other side. So find that sense of balanced feet. Reconnect with that lift through the spine and do the same with the left leg. So bring your left toes into the side, left knee points out to the side as much as feels comfortable, keeping the hips square, gaze focusing ahead of you, and a lift through the crown of the head. Good, nice. Take 3 breaths here and just get familiar with that sense of wobble, maybe through the opposite ankle now. Lovely. And then releasing down. Let's take it on a little bit further. So reset, refine that feeling of length through the spine, that level chin. Reconnect with your gaze. And then bring your right toes in, turn your right knee out to the side. Without losing the gaze or the lift through the crown of the head, bring the hands to prayer. Keeping that same sense of even inhale and exhale. Without looking down or changing anything in your stance, we're going to slide the right leg just slightly up the left, coming to the calf. Taking a steady inhale and an exhale here. As you next exhale, releasing that right foot down, stepping the feet back to your hip distance stance. Maybe give the legs a shake and we'll do the other side. So coming up, finding that same length and then turning the left toes in and the left knee out to the side. Bring the hands to prayer. Find that gaze point ahead of you. And then we're going to wait for 3 breaths just to get familiar with the stance, the lift through the crown, the little wobble in the ankle, which I can see beautifully demonstrated by Anne. And then on our next inhale, we're slowly going to slide that left leg up just a tad, keeping your awareness on your breath and keeping the gaze where it is. Well done. Wait for an exhale, and then with control, come back to where we were. Let's reset, give everything a shake, and let's take it on a little further. So the principles are going to remain exactly the same. We're looking at a nice stance, nice even weighted feet, a nice lifted crown, relaxed body, relaxed breath. So bring the hands onto your hips. We're going to work with our right foot, so finding that Tadasana torso, that nice lift, that nice sense of breath, and find your gaze point. Let's bring our weight slightly onto our left as we draw those right toes into the side and open the knee out. And the hips are going to remain square here, so we want to keep the hips square and open the knee just as much as feels comfortable. Hands come to prayer, keeping the gaze and the breath nice and steady. And then as we next inhale, let's draw that leg up the calf. Exhale here. Keeping the breath exactly as it is, that lift and grounding. And then as you next inhale, bring the knee forward, flexing the foot, knee about hip height. Good. Inhale and exhale here. There's a little bend in that, micro bend in that standing knee. Inhale, lovely. And let's exhale, release it down. Come over, hands to hips, and let's do the other side. So we're increasing the challenge with the balance, but the principles are going to stay the same. So feet hip distance. When you're ready, lengthen through the spine. Tummy draws in slightly, nice sense of even breath in and out. And then bring your left toes in, knee out to the side. Good. When you're ready, use an inhale to draw that leg up the side. Nice. Bring the hands to prayer. Lovely. Stay lifted through the crown. Lovely, Anne, really nice. And then as you next inhale, let's bring that knee forward, lifting it up hip height, flexing into the foot. Lovely. Hold for a breath. Really nice. And then as you're ready, when you exhale, let's bring that left foot down. Good. Give everything a little shake and a wobble. And now the next thing we're going to focus on is moving from a lifted knee into warrior 3. So the principles will stay exactly the same. The gaze point will be the same. The challenge will be keeping the length through the top of the body as you come forward and extend the leg back. So we're going to give it a try, see whether or not we fall in or out. We'll just see what happens. So coming onto your hip distance width, nice lifted Tadasana pose, a little softness through the knees, that feeling of light, even inhale and exhale. Come into tree with your right toes turned out, toes touching down. Steady your gaze, so quite far ahead of you. Keep lengthened as you bring the hands to prayer. When you next inhale, slowly draw that leg up the calf. Exhale here. As you next inhale, bring that knee forward, flexing through the lifted foot. And as we exhale, we're going to bend more into our standing leg and bring ourselves forward over those hips, extending the right leg behind us, keeping the gaze on the point ahead of us. Take a breath in and a breath out here, lengthening. And then as you next inhale, we're going to come out the way we came, bringing that knee back through, inhaling and focusing on lifting through the crown of the head before we use an exhale and release down. Good. Give everything a little shake. Okay, what I meant to say was the gaze is ahead of you. So as you're coming forward, what I've found is in my own practice, if I'm changing my gaze as I'm coming forward into Warrior 3, not only do I round my body and get this sort of rounded shape, everything kind of closes up. So by keeping my gaze further ahead and thinking about length through the spine and length through the back of the leg, helped me think about being more long in my stance and gave me a bit more stability. So the cue should be keep the gaze ahead and think about lengthening through the spine. Okay, so we'll try that on the other side. Good. So from a nice lifted stance, find your breath, find your gaze, and then let's bring the left toes to the ground, turning the left knee out. Hands come to prayer, and we steady our breath here. Using an inhale, slowly drawing that left leg up the calf. Keep the gaze and keep the breath steady. On your next inhale, you'll bring the knee forward. And as you next exhale, you'll bend into your right knee. Take yourself forward towards your gaze point, lengthening through the spine and lengthening back fully into that back leg. Take one round of breath here. A little softness in that front knee helps, embracing that wobble. And then as you next inhale, slowly think about coming forward, using all of the breath to bring you upright, reaching through the crown of the head. And then exhale, releasing down. Give everything a little shake. Good, good. Let's do one more each side. I'm going to watch Anne see how we go. So let's do it all with a bit of flow. So from here, nice even stance. Hands onto hips, nice lifted, crown lovely. Coming into tree on the right side, bringing the toes in and connecting, opening that knee out. Good. When you're ready, use your inhale to come up. Staying lifted and lengthened and bringing the hands to prayer. Really nice. With your gaze ahead of you, bringing the knee forward, staying lifted, keeping the breath nice and steady. And then as you exhale, taking that right leg back, reaching forward with the crown of the head. Lovely. Have your exhale here, really nice, that lovely bend in that standing knee. And then inhaling, coming forward, thinking about lengthening up through the crown of the head all the time. Lovely. And then exhale, release. Beautiful, Anne. Really nice. And let's do the other side. Anyone would think you'd done this before. And then let's work on the other side. So when you're ready, come over onto the other side, left toes in. Good. Always using and taking the moment to find your breathing and your length through the spine. And then wait for an inhale to slowly come up, bringing, good. Have a full round of breath here. Stay steady and at ease with your breathing before you bring the knee forward as you next inhale. Sorry, well done, hands to prayer, knees forward. Lovely. And then when you're ready on an exhale, take that left foot back. Good. Really nice. And then as you inhale, you're bringing that back knee through, reaching up with the crown, and then exhaling, releasing down. And give everything a little wobble. Thank you, Anna. That was superb. Namaste.